Hi everyone, this is Lynn and I'm back with you from Paper Life. I wanted to do a super simple, fun craft project that was hopefully stress-free. This is my goal. So I figured I was going to do a altered composition book with you today. And I kind of had to work through some problems, so I figured I would start this just a little bit first. And I've already done the cover, but at this point I want to do a back piece. This was the easiest way that I personally found to figure out my size of my paper or my cover because, and I'll show you first before I mark it. Here is the first one that I did, and if I put a little piece of paper behind her, you might be able to see that I have some white showing. It just, even though I measured it, it wasn't exactly right, I guess, because my pages are just barely over 9 3/4 inch tall. My width of my pages are right about 7 3/8, but I did make them slightly smaller because I don't want to bulk up my spine here. So I'm going more with like the 7 1/4 realm. But when I tried to cut it first, it obviously did not work for me. Go figure. So here is what I did to come up with the size of my paper. What I did was, I need the white side, is just kind of slip my paper in here. And then I took my pen, because I could not find a pencil, and marked just little lines with where my book stopped on my page, if that makes sense. See, I have just kind of an outline. This helped for 2 reasons. One, my cutting mat is a 12 by 12 and I'm using a scrapbook paper. Here, let me show you the pad that I'm using. I got this I think last year, and it's Recollections Woodworks. So it's just a bunch of wood grain, and I like wood grain. But my paper pad is 12 by 12 and my mat is a 12 by 12 cutting mat. So it doesn't work out very well. What I'm doing here is I'm taking my lines and I'm adding about 1/4 inch, just kind of eyeballing it with my ruler to, well, I guess that's more of 1/8 inch, just a little bit of an overhang. So here's one cut off piece. I'm doing the same thing up above. Even though I didn't actually stick the bottom up flush when I made my lines, I want it oversized a little bit because I'm just going to cut it off. All these scrap pieces I've been saving. And even on like this paper pad had this like opposite colored strip across the top where they bind the book together. I saved those because you can use them for belly bands and stuff like that if I wanted to. Okay, so we're going to ignore that for a minute. We're going to show you how I figured out to do this cover. I had done a project like this a few years back, and I actually did it with my kids' class. We used glue sticks. As far as I know, they're still holding strong. However, I wanted to make these just a little bit better, a little bit nicer. I can't find what I need. Guys, I am more of a hot mess than normal today. I had my nail file here. And yes, this is quite literally the nail file I've been using on my nails. Sandpaper would work really well too. But I'm going to use Mod Podge to hold this paper down. And because it has a little bit of a glossy finish, it's not going to want to hold as well. Now, you may get lucky and yours may not have that problem, but all I'm going to do is just scratch over it like that. So it's nothing complicated, okay? Okay, so there we go. My only goal was to basically matte down the shine on it. And that's going to give it a much better bond between the two. I'm using some Mod Podge matte. Oh, yeah, I should put the lid on that when I try to show it to you. Fantastic. Okay, I'm using Mod Podge matte medium here today. And wearing it on my hands. Yeah, my hands are slightly pink from sanding that cover. You know, at the end of the day, at least we'll be pretty. I should take it and like smear it across my eyes or something and call it eyeshadow. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I just want to put a fairly thin, consistent coat across here. And I'm trying to avoid this black. And that is because I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. Okay, guys, now that I have a fairly consistent coat on there, not too much on my black, hopefully, I want to line my page up. And I'm just trying to kind of butt it up to that black without sticking it at the wrong spots. I don't like that. Okay, sorry, my arm's going to be in your way for a moment. Okay, now I'm going to take my braid tool, and you don't have to, if you don't have one of these, then don't worry about it. Use the top of your glue stick, which at this moment I don't have any idea where I put my glue stick. I'm going to need that in a moment. I'm just trying to kind of push this down. Now, since I had to readjust this a few times, my glue has dried in some spots. So I'm just going to fix that. Okay, what I want to do is I want to open this up so that I have it sitting flat on my mat. And since my glue kind of went everywhere, I'm going to use this again. Yeah, it's this was part of my country Christmas set. And it was a test print that I did. And it was actually a good one. However, I stuck something to it that had glue. So I'm using it as scrap paper at the moment. Okay, I just want that all pushed down as nice as I can get it, as flat as I can get it. If you happen to notice any other places, like on mine, where I didn't get it, I guess either down quick enough or a good enough coat, just come back in and kind of hit that with a little more glue. I dropped my napkin, go figure. All right, my other cover was not near this messy, but I'm not really worried about it because I'm going to come in and cover this at a later point. This has kind of been a wing it project, go with it. I didn't have a pre-set out plan behind it, kind of as normal. You guys watch any of my other videos, you know I'm always winging it. But I just wanted, I don't know, I have been in such a funk the last few days, and I think it has a lot to do with Christmas and just the ongoing stress of what needs to be done next. But even crafting, something I usually enjoy, did not sound like fun. So I just wanted to do something completely different. Something that was preferably stress-free. We'll see how well that goes. I don't have another piece of scrap paper because what I would do now is just put, actually what I would put is a piece of wax paper so I don't have to worry about it sticking. But I don't know what in the world I did with my wax paper. Yeah, this tells you what's been going on here lately. Okay, and like I said, I have lost my glue stick, but I do have a sandwich bag here that I'm going to put my paintbrush in that I have my Mod Podge on. This will help it not dry out. Okay, I wouldn't leave it in there indefinitely, but at least for a while it will help. I found my glue stick. It had rolled away. So, what I want to do next, and I don't know what kind of order you guys want to do this in. I think I might actually wait to glue my pages together because I don't, okay, in these books they make it with really cheap thin paper. So what I'm going to end up doing is gluing, I would say at least 2 of them together to add some strength to them. But I think that's going to wait for a minute. I started this thinking I was going to be very organized. It has not worked at all. I'm afraid that's in your view. Okay, so I'm just going to grab some random spots in here. I don't really have a rhyme or reason to this. I want to take my prettier paper and I'm going to glue it down on top of here. I am leaving that gap on the side. I found that if I glued 2 of these pages together before I put the scrapbook paper on there, it did make it easier. So I'm going to do that first. And after we're done, I'll show you how I found cutting off the excess was the easiest. Now, guys, if this isn't the easiest for you, by all means, do it however it's easiest. I know a lot of people prefer all their pages cut really neat and nice before they put them in. I just can't ever seem to accomplish that. So as this is me making it right now, I went for what my stress-free is. Well, okay. Limited stress, reduced stress, Zen moment. I wouldn't say stress-free. Okay, so now that I have that glued down, I'm going to take my other page and I just want to put them together. Okay, I'm going to use my braid tool because I have it and I'm kind of obsessed with it lately. But again, just use anything that's, you know, a flat, hard surface. Okay. I'm going to glue at the top of this page again. Just trying to get a good coat. I want to make sure I get around the edges kind of last, just because that's where I'm most concerned about it sticking down. Same thing as before, just gonna line it up and smack it down. A braid tool because I have one. Sorry, that sounded kind of braggadocious, huh? Because I have one and you may not. No, sorry. But it was one of those treats that I finally broke down and bought myself because I had been trying to figure out how to more or less make one. And I'm so glad I did. I love it so much. So all I want to do is get a nice hold on this. One thing I did find that's really helpful with these books is to use the weight to your advantage. And as you work them, just kind of close it down and it'll help smush them in to place. Okay, so there's that one. I'm going to go ahead and put these other pages in. Hopefully I'm going to sweet talk my husband into fast forwarding through this part. So yeah, nothing special, just gonna glue both pages again. Now I'm just gonna stick those two together. Now I'm gonna set up to glue the decorative paper on. Okay, so now that we have those on, I actually kind of cheated and didn't braid down in between the pages, hoping that I could do them both at the same time. I don't know. It was probably a really bad idea. And please, if you have your wax paper, you can find it. It would help so much to put it in between these pages as they dry. I don't know if we used all ours around the holidays or what, but I can't seem to find it. So when I come back in here, I'm probably going to fight with pages glued together. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and put these pages in here just kind of randomly. I don't know. There is no rhyme or reason. It's just because I think I like it. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm going to do with this other than I wanted to do something and not be stressed about it. Now, I will say if you find that your pages aren't wanting to bind, a lot of it just has to do with working them. You know, it takes kind of some finessing to work them down as your glue dries. And maybe not getting as much glue spread everywhere else like I am. But let's say like in here tends to be my area, so I'm just going to pull this up and act like it didn't get a very good seal. What I would do is take my glue stick, or since you're working with scrapbook paper and it's a little bit thicker, or if you are, you could probably get away with a white glue. I'm so leery about using a real wet glue when I'm gluing two pieces of paper together, especially a thin one. Okay, so all I basically did was put a little more glue stick down there because I was acting like it didn't seal to itself very well. And then just redoing it, just pushing it back down, trying to get it to bind. So it takes a little finessing, but that's actually, I don't know, fairly easy in my opinion. So let's see, what should I show you? Okay, I'm going to show you how I decided to do my cover. If you want to do it another way, if there is an easier way for you, by all means, do it your way. And hey, share with me. I like easier ways. But here's how I got my cover down to size. What I did was I just lined it up. You can see where the original cover of the journal is to where my paper is. I don't know, I just kind of changed up my light hoping to get more light in here for you, but I'm not sure if it's much better. So in person, you can very much see the difference. I wouldn't even worry about drawing that line. I only drew that line so you would see. So all I did was just cut it straight off like that. Nothing fancy, nothing special. Just a quick cut. Hopefully not getting my head in your way. Okay. My knife slipped at one point and I made a little extra cut there that I didn't mean to, but since that's getting covered up, I don't think you would ever notice it. I'm just going to take my scissors and just kind of cut around these corners. You could use something like your crocodile. I don't know. It would work just fine. It's going to be able to cut through this material. It's not a real thick chipboard. I just, like on this one, if you notice this top rounded corner is smaller than this bottom one. I just felt like it was going to start being more of a hassle for me, so I didn't do it. This was the side that I had issues with. Go figure, me have issues. So there's part of this that didn't get sealed real well. I'm just going to do the same exact thing I told you earlier, which is grab my paintbrush with the Mod Podge on it. I'm just going to pull that paper back away from the cover a little bit and reseal it. Easy peasy. Kind of clean up my glue that's coming out a little bit. Now I haven't figured out really anything that I'm doing on this, but I don't know if I'm going to Mod Podge over the top of it again or what I'm doing on that sense. So I'm trying to be neater and not get it all over the front. Trying being my operative word here. Now, if you're better about getting this down. My problem is I put my paper down and then had to pick it back up. So some of the Mod Podge dried, and that's why it's not getting the best seal in the world at the moment. So if you take your time and don't do what I did, you'll have a better route with this. Okay, so how I trim my pages to their final size. Like I said, if this is not what you prefer, do it your way, okay? But I found if I took my utility knife with a really sharp blade, like at this point I should probably even be changing my blade just because I've cut paper with it a bunch. But I'm going to line my ruler up to where my cover is and just take my blade and slide across there. And I don't want to use too much pressure because I don't want to move everything around. I'm just kind of doing a light, even pressure going across it. So like that. See, I was able to trim all those up fairly decently. So I'm going to go around and do that on all 3 of these sides because I've let the paper overhang in those sides. Yeah, my knife is getting dull. I think that's why I like just a plain Jane utility knife for these kind of things, is the blades are really cheap. So as soon as I feel like I need to change out my blade, I just go ahead and do it. But you can get the blades at any hardware store. You don't have to go to a craft store and get like specialty blades or anything like that. But that's me. You may hate these things. Okay, so I'm still trying to make sure I get this as good as I'm gonna get it. Okay, leave it alone. Leave it alone. I'm going to go through here and find my pages, and same way I did with the cover, just kind of fussy cut around the edges. Like so. Maybe, if I can get it round. Okay, so just like that. Oh. All right, so we still have a little more work to do there. All right, I'm gonna clean that up when I get off camera, when I put a new blade in there. So what I've done at this point is just put in a few of my scrapbook papers in kind of just randomly where I think I would like them. I covered my front and my back, or my front and my back. Now guys, I guess my advice on this would be to wait in between. Like, I'm gonna have to go back through and really fuss with some of these pages since I didn't give them time to dry before I cut them, before I'm moving on. Here, let's see. Yeah, like right here, that side's gonna come up. I could have avoided all that by just waiting, but I didn't want to do that. What I want to do on my cover, at least for right now, is I'm going to take my nail file and I'm just going to go around the edges of this cover. I don't really have a rhyme or reason. I don't even really know why I'm doing it, besides I think I like it. And it seemed like a good idea at the time. Okay, so there I've gone around and done all my edges. I need to fix that little spot a little bit. Now, it does give it kind of a distressed edge, but you're also going to find that it gives it a little bit better hold around the edges because it kind of merges those two pieces of paper together. But that is what I'm at this point. I think what I'm going to do is it's probably, yeah, it's getting close to me needing to get changed to go to the gym. So my homework is going to be going through here, and I'm going to glue 2 pages together. Okay, so if I've gotten to a point that I already have a scrapbook paper in here, I want to kind of count, see how many pages I have. So I got 2 here, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so I do actually have an uneven number in here, and that's what I was kind of hoping so I could show you. What I want to do is I'm going to glue 2 pages together. I had, let's say, I think it was 12. I might be wrong. But if I had 12 pages, I'm going to divide it in half, so it's going to be 6. So I'm going to do 6 on one side, 6 on another, with the 1 page being in the center. And the reason for that is I think we're going to do, or at least I'm going to do, some little tuck down pockets, some other things like that. But for right now, that's what my homework is. And I will see you guys back maybe tomorrow if I can be on top of it and get some other things done I don't want to do. But right now, guys, go ahead and leave this book. Put some weights on top of it because this cover will want to fold up some. So put some weights. Weights, weights, weights. Weights are good. All right, probably not those weights. But you know what I mean. Grab another big heavy book. Grab a dictionary that my kids are never going to use. Because now we can just Google search everything. And leave it sitting there. Let it dry. It should help dry in a flatter version. And I'll see you guys back here tomorrow. And like always, check us out on Facebook. Come by and visit. Come bug us, or I'll bug you. One of the two. All right, bye guys.